Welcome back to another episode of the Four Downs Podcast, where we cover 4 trending NFL topics in 20 minutes or less. As always, I'm joined by Josh, a.k.a. Kablumski. How are you doing today, my friend?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me again, my buddy. And there's the balloons on cue. I love it. They're back for some more.
You ready to talk some playoff football?
Man, I've been waiting all week for this episode, so let's get going.
Yeah, forget the intro. Let's talk football. We had a wild week of wild card matchups, so I'm just going to run through the scores, refresh everybody on what happened, and then Josh, after I run through that, go ahead, give me some of your takes, some of your thoughts on these games.
Okay.
So, starting off, we have the Texans surprisingly steamroll the Chargers behind Justin Herbert's 4 interceptions to the tune of a 13 QBR, which off camera, we were talking, we didn't know it went that low.
That's nuts.
It's not good. The lone bright spot is the rookie Ladd McConkey going off for 197 yards and a touchdown. So I see him in the future in coming seasons being Justin Herbert's go-to guy. So at least with some of the receivers leaving the past offseason, they have filled that void, it seems.
Absolutely.
The night game on Saturday, the Ravens, unsurprisingly, blow out the Steelers, double them up 28-14 behind Derrick Henry's 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. As we've discussed, letting Derrick Henry run wild is not a recipe for success, and the Steelers learned that the hard way.
Yeah,
On Sunday, we saw the Bills crush the Broncos. The dream season for the Broncos has come to an end, though I would feel pretty good about what they've got going on there if I was a Broncos fan. Eagles beat up on the Packers 22-10. Another quarterback suffering from the turnover bug, Jordan Love with 3 interceptions. And I know this is tough for you, but the Commanders take down the Buccaneers 23-20 in what was really the only close game of Wild Card Weekend. I was thoroughly entertained despite my good friend Josh's teams, that's you, going down. Of course, my team was on a bye because we're the best. So I threw my allegiance behind Tampa Bay just a little bit. And in what I would say is the biggest shocker of the weekend is the Rams' 27-9 victory over the Vikings, spurring a lot of talk about where did the 14-3 Vikings go wrong. We're going to get into that in a little more detail later. But what are your big takeaways from Wild Card Weekend? What did you like? What did you see that was negative? I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, first things is first is I just want to give the flowers to J.K. Dobbins. Number one, just because he went the whole year without getting hurt. I think that that was a player that I was rooting for. I think a lot of people were rooting for, getting back behind his story. Just was really rooting for him. So the fact that you finished the whole year without any injuries, that's a plus, right? You talk about Ladd McConkey and the Justin Herbert connection. That's a plus. They're going to be all right. They're going to be okay. Harbaugh knows what he's doing up there. The fact that they made the playoffs in year 1 is saying a lot there. On the flip side of that, though, in that same game, Texans defense wins championships, right? And DeMarco Ryans has them playing lights out defensively. And as long as they keep that going, they might surprise a few people, but I think their magic stops next week. Anyway, Ravens, Steelers, we can't really elaborate too much with that. We were all expecting that outcome. MV3 is just unstoppable with the combination with Derrick Henry as well. Just can't stop that combination. Bills, Broncos, the same thing. We kind of expected that as well. Broncos are similar to the Chargers. Year 1 coming in, they finally found their quarterback. They got good receivers. They got a little bit of running, but they got a good defense over there. With Patrick Surtain holding down the fort, being a lights-out cornerback, and possibly Defensive Player of the Year. My game was just a great game in general, right? If you wasn't liking any of these two teams, just the fact that was a good playoff game was good, especially after a couple blowout games, you know what I mean? So that was good. Eagles, Packers, really quick. Injury bug bit the Green Bay Packers, unfortunately, at the wrong time. But they got a lot of stuff going well for them, especially Josh Jacobs. They found their workhorse. We'll talk about that later on. Eagles, Saquon is just the man back there. And the last game that we talked about with the Rams and Vikings, hey, man, honestly, momentum is key going into the playoffs. And having them, the Vikings I'm speaking about, having them lose a few games going into the playoff, did not help. And you could tell that kind of helped, hindered their momentum and their vibe and their culture going into the playoffs. And with 8 sacks or 9 sacks it was, that's just tough to beat, So just overall good slate, but good football, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Absolutely. And that takes us to exactly 5 minutes. We are ready to move on to our next segment. Our second topic today is the brewing quarterback controversy in Minnesota. Obviously, like we just discussed, the Vikings were eliminated from the playoffs by the Rams in what was an upset.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, we know that J.J. McCarthy is waiting in the wings coming off of that injury. Sam Darnold was signed as sort of an insurance policy to a 1-year contract and ended up having what I would say is an outstanding season given the expectations for him coming in.
Right.
So with a lot of pundits saying, let him walk, throw McCarthy in there, I just want to kind of rebut that. I think the Vikings would be really, really sorry come next year if they do allow Sam Darnold to walk. And I understand that J.J. McCarthy is the guy. He is the quarterback of the future there. But coming off an ACL injury and not really having the ability to take any reps in practice and study under Sam Darnold, who, like I said, had a pretty good year. I think it would be a mistake to just throw J.J. McCarthy in there and let him sort of go to the Wolves. Hypothetically, let's say that they do bring Sam Darnold back on a franchise tag. Would it be expensive for the team? Perhaps, yes, but I would consider it an investment in the future of J.J. McCarthy. If halfway through the season, Sam Darnold isn't having the kind of season he had this year, by all means, let a fresh J.J. McCarthy go out there after having some time to reacclimate himself to the physicality of the NFL. He's never played NFL football before. He's never seen in a live game situation a top-tier NFL defense. He has not built the rapport with those wide receivers,
Right.
just standing on the sideline recovering from his ACL.
Yeah.
So I just really, really, really hope that the Vikings let Darnold run it back. If, let's say, they had gone 8-9 or 7-10 this season, it's a completely different story.
Right.
But going into the last week of the season, you are in the running for the first overall seed behind Sam Darnold. Why let him walk?
I agree.
Josh, what do you think?
No, I'm with you on that. I wish I can argue your take because that's what I like doing. But on this one, I'm going to have to agree with you on this one. It's interesting because I got a lot of Viking friends, as you know, too, in our fantasy league. A lot of Viking friends, and they're on that other side of the track. It's like you said, let him go. My question is to you is when you talk about the franchise tag, you bring up a good point. Yes, it might be a little pricey, that franchise tag, right? But is it better than a 2-3 year deal? And that's something that you have to develop that quarterback. How many times are we going to be throwing in quarterbacks into the wolves or into the fire and expect them to be a 14-3 team when you have no experience? This is the NFL. Not to mention when they put the camera on J.J. McCarthy, not knocking the kid at all. I know the kid can play, but the kid looked like a toothpick, okay? He looked very fragile, already coming off, like you said, ACL injury. Man, is he really going to be able to withstand those hits and everything like that? I don't know. Granted, I know Jaden Daniels is similar body type, but Jaden Daniels can get away. I don't see JJ being that fast twitched. But that's my take on that. They knew coming in that this was a Baker type year for him, right? This was like prove it, bet on yourself. And if you do your thing, we'll pay you. Baker started that with us and he got paid. The guy went 14-3. Okay. Yes, it wasn't the outcome that you as fans, Viking fans, were expecting or wanting.
What did they expect at the beginning of the year? You know what I mean?
And that's a good point as well.
So at the end of the year,
right?
And at the end of the year, they expect to win the Super Bowl. Going into the year, they probably expected to miss the playoffs in that division.
Right.
So, and I just want to say, is this loss completely on Sam Darnold? Absolutely not.
No, sir.
Like we talked about off the pod. Yes, a few of those nine sacks were his fault. I'll put 4 of those on him.
Right.
But 5 sacks, even if you say the 4 of those are his fault, 5 sacks is too much. And they were deep sacks. They were letting the defense get to him deep in the pocket.
Right.
On shotgun, which means he didn't have time to even scramble forward
Right, to come in the pocket.
Yeah. I watched some of this game, and 45 yards passing. He threw 1 touchdown, 1 interception, so he's not giving the ball away. They didn't allow the running game to get going. He obviously in the second half couldn't find Justin Jefferson. I think that it's a shared responsibility there.
Right.
But like you said, Justin Jefferson was being blanketed
100%.
all over the field in the second half.
Insane.
So I would put this more on the coaching staff, not making the halftime adjustments, not being prepared for what the Rams defense was going to throw at him.
I agree.
So bring back Sam Darnold. 1 year, franchise tag. Let's see what the man can do.
Let's do it. Give it to him.
Our third topic today is going to be a continuation of last week's podcast where we talked about some of the minor awards, the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and the Rookie of the Year awards. We want to dedicate a whole segment to talking about the MVP race, which, oddly enough, is pretty much coming completely out of the AFC. All 3 of the elite quarterbacks this year, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and, of course, Joe Burrow. I wouldn't call Joe Burrow a dark horse, but he is certainly in the conversation. My take on this is it's really Lamar Jackson's award. If Lamar Jackson doesn't win this award and they don't crown him MVP3, it is a major, major disservice to him and the NFL and what the award stands for. I would guess we're going to see a slightly closer race than we would think, given the voter fatigue from voting for Josh Allen. From Lamar Jackson. It has been Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes here for a few years. Of course, a weird Aaron Rodgers one thrown in there. But I can see some voters saying that Josh Allen deserves to be an MVP at some point, and this year is sort of the best year to give it to him, given the loss of some of his weapons, his running ability, what the Bills were able to achieve in a year where some people thought they might take a minor step back. However, on the other side, Lamar Jackson is the MVP. He was statistically better as a passer. He was statistically better as a runner. His team was better. Best player in the NFL on the best team. Had a career year coming off seasons previously where he was the MVP. He took that to another level. The only parallel I can see with this is like LeBron James in the NBA, where it got to a point where the voters just said LeBron James can't be the MVP anymore. We're giving it to Kevin Durant. We're going to give it to James Harden. We're going to give it to Russell Westbrook. We're going to give it to Steph Curry a few times. What do you think? Do you think that will factor in at all, that voter fatigue that some people are talking about?
No, sir. I've been saying it from day one. This is Lamar's year. I did not expect what he has been doing, though. It's been we got to sit back and just appreciate what we're watching, right? We got to understand what we got in front of us. It's just like, the whole, you talk about basketball sometimes too, the whole LeBron thing. Everybody wants to hate on it. Why don't we just accept what's in front of us, the greatness that's in front of us, right? So going back to Lamar, you talk about the best team, the best player with the best statistics, right? You talked about Josh Allen. You talked about Joe Burrow. You got to throw Saquon in the mix as well. But this, like you said, this is Lamar's year to lose it, and I don't think he's done anything to lose it. You know what I mean? If he does lose it, it's going to be probably the Josh Allen, and rightfully so, because what he's been doing over there has been tremendous in its own right. But at the end of the day, we got to see and put all tools together. And like you said, if you take him out of that picture, where do the Baltimore Ravens stand? And they're not where they're at right now without Lamar Jackson.
Oh, they wouldn't have won 5 games without Lamar Jackson. That's what the most valuable player is about. He allows Derrick Henry to do what he does because teams are so worried about his arm and his legs that, you got to pick your poison. Do you want Derrick Henry to rush for 180 and 2 touchdowns, or do you want Lamar Jackson to throw for 3 touchdowns and rush for 2 more? It's an unguardable team until they get to Kansas City, because I think Kansas City's defense stacks up well with them. The only thing I want to say about Joe Burrow is I do think he deserves a little more consideration, given that, you had like a high school football team's defense playing for Cincinnati this year. They were awful. Games where Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson would put up 45 points, plus Chase Brown. Their offense was outstanding throughout most of the season, and they could put up 45 points and still lose a football game. And if they had made the playoffs, Joe Burrow's the MVP.
Yeah.
Period. If they had scratched out a playoff berth, he is the MVP. But with that, I think we're both right. I think Lamar Jackson's going to win it. He's going to be MVP3. We got to stop agreeing with each other.
This is a bad episode.
We got to get someone on here that doesn't know what they're talking about. We got to get someone on here who's not as smart as us to play devil's advocate. But you heard it here, not first. You've heard it everywhere. Lamar Jackson, third MVP, will surpass Patrick Mahomes as the most MVPs in the league when Aaron Rodgers inevitably retires this year. Congratulations, Lamar Jackson. Our last topic today, as always, is picking some games. We are into the divisional round of the playoffs. Things are getting exciting. We're down to the contenders. I legitimately think any team left in the playoffs could win the Super Bowl. So let's pick these games. Josh,
let's do it.
You picked last week. I'll pick this week. Let's go.
All right, we're going to do a little bit different, all right? We're going to start off with the Sunday slate, and then we'll go to Saturday. We'll go a little bit backwards, all right?
Okay.
So we got the Rams going into the Eagles.
This is going to fucking blow your mind. I'm taking the Rams.
Ooh.
I am taking the Rams. The Rams, they have just underrated weapons. I mean, everyone loves Puka Nacua, but I don't think we really have seen Puka Nacua at his peak yet in these games that matter. I love Kyren Williams. So reliable. You have that running game. You've got Tyler Higbee back and healthy. Had 5 receptions for 58 yards last week. He did end up in the hospital. He was coughing up some blood after taking a bad hit to the chest, but they are expecting him to play. And the key here to my pick is the Rams defense has looked outstanding, especially against the run this year. And that is really where the Eagles' bread is buttered. You know, they let Saquon run. That opens up everything else. If the Rams can slow that down early in the game, I can see this being a close Rams win, and that's what I'm taking.
Yeah, real quick, though, to add Matthew Stafford, right? Veteran, been here before. He'll get the troops right.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm kind of with you on that. All right, big matchup here. We got the Ravens going into Buffalo.
So what's funny about this is I saw someone talking about the kind of round robin we have in the AFC.
Yeah.
The Ravens' Achilles heel would be the Chiefs. The Chiefs' worst matchup is the Bills. The Bills' worst matchup is the Ravens.
Right.
So all of those weaknesses, that triangle, all the strengths play into the opposing team's weakness. I take the Ravens in this one. And I don't know if it's going to be super close. I think the Ravens might win by 10. I just think they match up well. That running game, if the Rams can get out early, I don't know if the Bills' run defense is going to hold up, especially against that two-headed monster. So I've got the Ravens. Let's go 35-28.
Ooh, nice pick. All right, we got the Commanders coming into a hot and ready Detroit City and Lions team that's ready to rock.
Unfortunately, my guys, my Jaden Daniels and my Terry McLaurin, it stops here. I am so thankful, though, that we got to see Terry McLaurin play in the playoffs. You know me and Scary Terry. Yeah. He's my boy. And I've said for years, just give Terry McLaurin a fucking quarterback. And we saw it happen. And I'm not even a Commanders fan, and I'm proud of what they've done this season. But
100%.
This Lions team is just outstanding. Are they going to run into some problems down the road, maybe in the NFC Championship because of their defensive injuries? Maybe, but this is not the week for that. It's going to be Lions. They might put up 40 on the Washington defense, which is not super strong. 40 to 27, maybe.
Lights out.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, blowout.
And then the matchup that you've been waiting for, and it's going to be a tough one. We got the Houston Texans coming off of a great win, momentum riding high, coming in to Kansas City and trying to shock the world. What you got for me?
Oh, nobody's going to be shocked. Chiefs Kingdom, baby. Chiefs Kingdom. It's going to be a blowout. I'm thinking 294-3. We'll give them a pity field goal there at the end. But in all seriousness, the Chiefs we match up so well. Texans defense, average. Chiefs offense, back to full strength. Just too many weapons. Now, earlier in the year, not enough weapons. Now we've got Hopkins. We've got Xavier Worthy. We've got Kelsey. We've got Pacheco. We've got Juju. I mean, even
showing up.
We're just fucking deep. We're deep right now. And the Texans maybe would have scared me a little bit with Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell healthy, but Nico Collins is going to get blanketed by Trent McDuffie. You've got Justin Reed over the top helping out there with really nobody else to throw to in crunch time. Joe Mixon is hurt, so their running game is going to be hampered. I just don't see this being even close at all. Chiefs are going to take this one 35-17.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is.
I'll take that.
You'll take it? Put the money. Take it to the fucking bank, baby.
Bank. Let's do it.
Well, as always, Josh, thank you. We're out of time. What a fantastic episode. Thank you for joining us. I am so excited for football this weekend. Go Chiefs all the way to the Super Bowl. 3-peat time, baby. Josh, what do you got to say to sign off?
No to the Chiefs, first of all. But, man, thank you for having me again. I love doing this. I love this episode. Great episode. I'm excited for playoff football. Excited for the next episode. And let's keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see you next week to review the divisional round and prepare you for the conference championships. Go Chiefs. We'll see you next time.
Kaboomski.